Act 1, New Orleans, Joie de Vivre. Scene 4, Ursulines Street. Cast of characters: Nettie Compass, late 20s charwoman, played by Guru Darshan Khalsa. Henry Moeti, 29, handsome sign painter, played by Peter Schuyler. Scene number 715 Ursuline Street, the French Quarter. Time, October 1927. Apartment 17 on Ursuline Street. Two old steamer trunks sit adjacent to each other upstage. The stage is dark. Nettie takes her place wearing a simple cotton print dress and apron. She carries a key ring, nervously turning the keys, running through them like a rosary. Henry, dressed in work clothes and stained butcher's apron, sits on the left trunk. In the dark, the rattling of keys is heard for a few seconds.
It was October 27, 1927. Worst day of my life. I did cleaning for folks along Ursuline Street at the tar in the quarter. It was the day I'd gone to work at number 715 Ursuline Street for Teresa Moedy and her family. I knocked, but there were no answer. I had a key, let myself into the apartment. It was dark. No one was home. I pulled back the drape and light flooded the room, and then I saw it. Blood, blood all over, so much blood. I felt faint, and then I screamed. A couple of men from down on the street heard me and ran up to see if I were okay. They went for the police.
Me and my wife, Teresa, and our 3 kids lived on Ursuline Street in the quarter. Joe and his wife, Lonnie, and their 2 kids lived with us too. All 9 of us crammed into 715.
Suddenly I panicked. The kids! I ran to their room. Not there. No blood. Oh, thank God.
Joe was my brother, and Teresa and Lonnie were sisters. We all moved to New Orleans from New Iberia for the cheap rent and good jobs. Me and Joe only found our jobs while I was trying to get my business going. Teresa and Lonnie did sewing and took in laundry and to help men's meet. One day in early October, Joe come home from a job he was working and sees Lonnie half naked with some guy. She tells Joe she's busy and to get the hell out. So he did. He packed up their 2 kids and moved back to New Iberia. Didn't want them around no mother like that.
I couldn't breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. The smell was terrible. I thought I would pass out if I stayed in there, so went out to the hallway.
With Joe and the kids gone, Lonnie was acting free and loose, and now so was Teresa. Tired from looking for work all day, I come home to find dirty kids and no dinner. Then Teresa waves a $5 bill in my face and says, "See this? Me and Lonnie can make more in 1 hour than you can in a week. We're leaving tomorrow and starting our own business." Then she says she's going to go off with Joe Caruso, the landlord, and I need to make the best of it. She grabs a bottle off the bed. I was mad. My wife whoring around, my wife being a prostitute, rubbing my face in it. It made me sick. I cried. I love her. And now seeing what she become, I got madder and madder. Angry, I had another drink. Furious, I had another drink, and I boiled over. Blind with rage, booze, and heartache, I took my lead billy club and bashed her head in and killed her. Then done the same to her sister for encouraging Teresa into the gutter with her.
I stayed in the hallway outside till 2 police officers arrived, and they saw all the blood and teeth and cut off fingers on the floor. My dear God, it was a horror, a nightmare. I mean, I lived just down the hall. I worked for him. I watched in sickening dread trying to breathe. The policeman opened the trunks. They found the bodies of the sisters stuffed inside. I was so sick I had to get out.
He turns it back and forth, checking the edge with his finger.
Both had husbands who was brothers. One of them was Joseph, married to Lonnie, and the other, Teresa's husband, Henry, was handsome and gentle and charming and nice to me. I mean, he was the one what paid me on Fridays. He was a butcher and a sign painter by trade. Teresa said he'd get real jealous if she ever looked at another man. Why she'd look, I can't say.
Being a butcher, I knew how to cut through the joint, not the bone. I cut off their arms, I cut off their legs, I cut off their heads, their feet, their fingers. When I was done, they fit nicely into their trunks. The kids was real good. They didn't make no noise while I did it and slept through it all. I washed up, put on clean clothes, then woke them up and took them down the street. Theta, the 5-year-old, was asking where we was going. I hushed them up and told them we was going to visit their Aunt Alcy. I got in taxi cab to my sister's while I left them off, then headed to a flop house in the bayou where I hid out for a couple days figuring what to do. I decided to head to the docks and found a small bayou freighter, the Gem. Begged my way on board as a hand, but being front page news coast to coast, some of the guys recognized me. They tied me up and held me till the police came. Believe it or not, I was caught and arrested in Cutoff, Louisiana. Yeah, Cutoff. I told the police that if I ever get my hands on Joe Caruso, I'll chop him up into little pieces. Not big pieces like my wife, but little pieces. I'll make him look like something that's been run through a sausage mill. Joe Caruso took my wife. She was beautiful and I loved her.
Just the day before, he had accused his wife of fornication with our landlord. And she told him she was going to leave him and would do so. That her and Lonnie was to start a business. I remembered that evening I saw all 6 of them in good spirits going out. And on their way, Henry takes me aside and whispers not to worry if I heard the kids a crying in the early morning. So I figured it had to be Henry that done this horrible deed. But they were so nice. I could hardly believe it. When his brother Joe found out, he went to the police. He told him it weren't him, but it were probably Henry, his younger brother, that done it. When they caught Henry, he confessed. He pleaded insanity. I had to testify at the trial and tell him about everything all over again. He were found guilty and sent to prison. Joe arranged with Henry to take his 3 kids, and before they all moved back to New Iberia, he told Henry he was sorry for what happened, but he was relieved Lonnie were gone.
It was the drink and jealousy had done me in. The jury was 12 men and they liked me. They thought them 2 women deserved what they got for what they done to me, making me crazy. They convicted me of a double murder, but only if I want to die for it. What I done was not wrong. I loved Teresa, but hated what she was doing to us. So I had to serve 2 life sentences. I was a model prisoner and became a trustee and got special privileges. After 18 years, my regular trip to the post office, I decided not to go back. 20 months later, they caught me in St. Louis and sent me back. A year after, I tried for parole, and with letters to the pardon board in my favor from most of the jurors and my brother, they let me go. After all that, I left New Orleans for good and moved to California. Things were okay for a time. But one night in a drunken rage, me and my girlfriend Alberta started fighting about money because she wanted to buy new clothes. So I shot her in the chest. She survived. I was sentenced to 5 years in Folsom Prison for attempted murder. After 12 months, on New Year's Eve in 1959, I died from a stroke and ain't never found no rest since. I guess you can't solve everything by killing.
After that awful time, I tried cleaning on other streets. Every time I went in a house or apartment, the images of Ursuline Street would flood back, haunting me. I'd start shaking and be sick. I couldn't work no more, not as a char, and there were nothing else I knew. I've been charring since I were a girl. I had no job. I lost my apartment. I lost everything. I turned to drink, trying to forget what I seen that day. I was wandering the streets, begging for what I could get. One night I was sleeping in an alleyway under old newspapers, and this grand lady wakes me up and she says, "If you was cleaned up, you'd be kind of purty. I could give you a job if you come along with me and you can stay at my place. I got a big house and there's other pretty girls like you lives there and works for me. Honey, you're going to die if you stay out here." Well, I was starving and cold and scared, so I went with her. She told me if I were nice to men, I could make money and have a nice place to live. Seemed like my prayers were heard. God forgive me. The next night, I started to sell myself to men. I sold my body, and my soul went with it. I let myself be touched and handled and hurt. I did so many bad things with so many men, told so many lies just to survive. Well, some years after that night, I caught a bad flu and wasted away at the madam's house. Full of regret, I left this earth hoping I could go somewhere, anywhere really, where there were nice people and angels in the clouds. But that did not happen for me. Maybe if I could forgive myself, it might help me to get to that place. But I can't. So I have been waiting here ever since. It's as if I was sentenced to life in prison too. Henry Moody killed me as surely as he killed Teresa and Lonnie.